shout out to my people. Green, silver, black, and white, always repping for my Eagles. Hey, hey, welcome to the podcast, we gon' keep it real. Get it hype when the team stepping on the field. We all we got, we all we need. Philadelphia Eagles, lock in with me. It's a Philly thing, you ready? Let's go.
All right. Football is back in Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen. Training camp began yesterday, and there was some real excitement going on in the city of brotherly love and with the Philadelphia Eagles. All the players are amped up. The offense is amped up. Reporters are talking about how exciting it looks to be a Philadelphia Eagle right now. And you can even tell just by the way some of these guys are carrying themselves. You see the excitement in the players. Zach Bond is excited for the season to come along. Lane Johnson is excited about some of the changes. You've heard Saquon Barkley, Jordan Davis, the Jalen Carter, the money man himself is excited about what's coming forward. And really the most important person I think that is excited about this upcoming season. And again, I know we talk about him at nauseum, and a lot of Eagle channels talk about him at nauseum, but it's Jalen Hurts. And you could tell there's an excitement, there's a freshness. And listen, I'm always going to comment on facial hair because that's about the only thing that I got in terms of hair, in terms of everything from the neck up. So the mustache is also something that is, showing a sign of freshness for the star quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. And reports out of training camp from day one is that the offense looked really dynamic in terms of under center, play action, bootlegs, motions, all that stuff is what you wanted to see from this offense and what Sean Mannion has brought from his tenure in Green Bay to now the Philadelphia Eagles. And everyone, like I said, is excited about what's going on. Listen, I'm going to give you my training camp takeaways. Listen, I was not there, obviously. They're not opening it to the public. I'm only giving you what I have heard, what I have seen, reacting to some quotes from Jalen Hurts. And obviously on the defensive side of the ball, there were some other takeaways that we saw. Johnathan Greenard on the PUP list is probably the biggest news of the day. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how that could affect the defense going forward and something to keep an eye on for this upcoming season. So this episode is going to be broken down into two sections here, one on the offense, one on the defense. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into all of that, I got to introduce you to this show. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I am your host, Asif Badi, and like you, I am a Birds fan who talks about the Birds, only the Birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor here. Help us grow this channel organically by shooting this video a thumbs up, commenting your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribing to the channel. Also, check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star review, because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support on the opposite side of the camera and on the opposite side of the airwaves. So let's talk about this offense, ladies and gentlemen, in the quarterback room here. Jalen Hurts, according to reports and according to the people who were there watching the Philadelphia Eagles practice, who had access to the media over there, Jalen Hurts looked sharp. He looked good. He had some of the best throws of the day, particularly one down the seam to Devontae Smith, and I think he had another one down the middle of the field. They were in play action a lot. They were under center, motion, some shotgun plays, 11 on 11. They had some, 11 on 11s at the very end of practice where Jalen Hurts was operating from the gun. So elements of the same offense that we saw last season, but with a little bit of nuance, with a little bit more motion. Tight end, Lane Johnson talked about it. He talked about tight end motion. He talked about wide receiver motion. He talked about, just different blocking schemes. Reports are showing that there's motions, there's shifts. Everyone's moving around. There's excitement in the air, a freshness to the offense, extra pep in people's step. People are excited. They're coming in fresh this offseason, and it's something that is exciting a lot of Eagle fans. And I'm not going to lie. Maybe it's just because it's training camp, and maybe it's just because I am an Eagles fan after all. I can't help but be excited. One, that football's back, but two, that everyone on the offense seems to be excited about some of the changes that are happening in Philadelphia. I do want to preference by saying that it is just training camp, okay? It is day one. There were practices and mini camps that they had in the spring where the offense did not look nearly as good. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And ultimately, these reps, as valuable as they are for the rest of the year, they don't necessarily define what this offense could potentially look like going forward. I have always called it the Midwest offense when they brought in Sean Mannion, because I don't believe they're going to do this overhauling, drastic change in terms of schematics to the offense. What I think they're going to do is implement some of the stuff like under center, like the bootleg, like the motions from tight ends and wide receivers, moving Devontae Smith in particular around. Maybe a couple of dumb passes to Saquon Barkley, as reports are saying that there's a bunch of that in the practice as well. These are all good things that you would want to help your quarterback grow. And it's led to the excitement for Jalen Hurts about this new offense and about what's going on in Philadelphia. And don't take my word for it. Don't take our reporter's word for it. Take it from the horse's mouth. Take it from quarterback one. So with that, let's look at some of the quotes that Jalen Hurts has had or is having about Sean Mannion. I think he was asked in a press conference after the practice, ways that he can help Sean Mannion. What are his thoughts about the new offense and what he can do to make this experience a successful one? And with that, here we go. This is not necessarily verbatim. It's a little bit of a paraphrase, a little bit of, I shouldn't say that. It's not necessarily paraphrase. These are the quotes, and these are the quotes that he had at the press conference. So with that, here we go. I think coach is going to be just fine. He's got a lot of structure and a lot of intentionality behind what he does. And, I think I'm at a point where I have to help him out and be of not influence, somewhat service. But, kind of hold up my end of it as well because I've experienced it so much. That's all I've experienced. So I think realistically, there's nothing new going into this year. This was about the constant coordinator change that he kept Jalen Hurts and the Eagles keep experiencing and what the new offense is like with Sean Mannion at the helm. And listen, it's not an excuse per se that Jalen Hurts never has the same offensive coordinator every year. That does affect the growth and the development of not only just quarterbacks, but for everybody in the building, the wide receiver, the offensive lineman, all that jazz. I mean, think of it this way. Let's put it to you like this. Prior to Jeff Stoutland's departure, and there's a lot of issues with that one, but prior to his departure, the one constant figure for a skill position group or a group of players was Jeff Stoutland, and it's not a shocker. As great as Jeff Stoutland is, it's not a shocker that since he's been here for damn near a decade, probably more than that, the offensive line is the best position group on the offense. Year after year after year, it's one voice, one design, one captain of the ship, and it ultimately leads you to success because you just master and you get better at something you're familiar with over and over and over again. Now, this offensive line is excited about what's happening right now at this offense. It's something new. It's something a little bit more fresh, as I mentioned before. But Jalen Hurts, again, constantly getting a different voice in your ear, calling the play, the cadence, the language, all of that's different. It's a different animal. So being able to have a voice and have your input on the offense is an important step for Jalen Hurts. It's an important step for this offense. And that quote where he's talking about how he has to be of service to Sean Mannion, it's to offer his input. It's to offer, hey, I like things this way. I like doing it this way. I like this. Plus being able to learn under the tutelage of Sean Mannion. And again, he's not only had quotes at the press conference, here's another quote that he's had in regards to Sean Mannion, how excited he is about learning this new offense. And this was from the spring, okay? So here, let's take a look at these spring quotes right now. Talking about how it's been being acclimated to the new offense, or how is it learning the new offense? And he said it's been a really good process so far. He's come in and he's very clear, giving good direction. You could definitely see the vision. Been able to answer all my questions. Very instructive, very helpful. So it's been a very enjoyable journey thus far. Again, that shows excitement. This shows this was what he's been looking for, at least from what it was with Kevin Patullo to what it is now. Now, again, this is not to say that he hated Kevin Patullo. This is just to say that in terms of being a teacher, in terms of tutelage, in terms of sharing knowledge and giving why you're doing something, Sean Mannion has got that in absolute spades. He's explaining everything. He's clear. He's direct. And it's informative and it's constructive on what they're looking for going forward in this offense. And that is something that helps not only people on the football team understand what their assignments are, but you know what? Take your work, for example. Isn't it much easier for you at your job to say, hey, you know what? There's clear direction here. My boss wants X, Y, and Z. They want it done through A, B, C, and D. And I'm able to do that because there's something to refer to. There's something here. Everything makes sense because it's clear. And it makes you a better and productive worker. This is the same thing for players in the NFL. When you have clear direction, when you have a clear focus, and when you have clear and constructive information to go off of, you're going to perform better. You don't have to react as much. You don't have to think as much on the field. You can just respond. You can just play and not have to worry about, okay, why are we doing this? You don't have to think about all that. You can just say, hey, we've done this before. I know what we're looking at. Let me execute the play and get out there and do it. Think about all the offenses in the NFL that run this particular scheme, this West Coast style offense. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, the Atlanta Falcons with Zach Robinson over there, Matt LaFleur and the Packers, Ben Johnson with the Bears. Hell, do look at the Detroit Lions too. All these teams use this offense, and think about how their quarterbacks play within this offense. It's very, boom, decisive, quick, very, very quick processing. You get the ball out. And it's because it's designed prior to the snap, and that's what they're working through right now in this offense. And it's an important trait that I think this offense has been seeking for quite some time. So kudos to them. Kudos to Sean Mannion and this offense. And this is just training camp day one. Okay? Listen, like I said, a lot of excitement from people on this offense right now. Jalen Hurts has been, just from the opening press conference, you see he looks fresher. He's speaking with more confidence and clarity. He is out there. Think about. I encourage all of you to go out and look at the press conference that he had on July 29th, and the first thing he comes in, he talks about how there's a positivity here, there's unity, it's important that everyone sticks together and focuses on the one goal. And again, I listened to that beginning part of the press conference, and again, the first half of that press conference, and I thought to myself, wow, this guy's taking shots at formerly departed A.J. Brown. Because a lot of the things that he was talking about are things that AJ was not necessarily known to do. People thought he was, again, I say people, meaning the fans after his departure, thought he was selfish, thought it was all about me, and I want the ball, and the offense needs to revolve around me, all that jazz. And goals were not aligned. These are things that were brought up as AJ was being traded, and Jalen Hurts highlighted the second he comes into the presser right off of a training camp that everybody feels excited about. I think it gives you a little bit of insight exactly how Jalen Hurts felt. And he even has a quote here where he's talking about a meeting or a session with Nick Sirianni amongst the whole team, talking about how you have to, focus on the little things, and being together as a unit is an important thing for the season. And He says the thing that I was thinking about was 100% alignment, 0% entitlement. That is, to me, I took that as, you could call it a Jalen Hurts ism. I took it as, damn, that's a shot at A.J. Brown once again. So you could tell just exactly how light, how fresh, how excited this offense is based on the way Jalen Hurts is speaking, based on how he looks, people are saying even in camp he looks lighter, he's moving faster, he's just basically a joy to be around, more vocal. I mean, everything that you want to hear is happening on camp right now. So does this mean this offense is going to take the next step forward? Listen, I still think it's going to be a growing pains process. This is not an easy offense to just come in and comprehend. I think the fact that he's excited about it and he's been seeking change like this, I think makes sense. And I think it's something that he's going to put a lot more time in to develop his skill set here. And listen, we don't know how Sean Mannion is going to call a play. We don't know what this offense is going to look like on paper, but all the elements as of right now in this present moment are there for this offense to take at least an improvement step in the right direction at the start of the season. So it's really, really good to see. I'm really, really excited what this could potentially mean for this offense. Could this mean Jalen Hurts as an MVP year? I know people are throwing that out there. I'm not going to go so quick on that one just yet, but it does, to me, look like, hey, Jalen is going to be focused on having a pretty big year, and the excitement that he has is something to keep an eye on, right? Okay, that's my take on the offense. Let me know what you think about the offense in the comment section below. Now we're going to transition over to the defensive side of the ball and talk about Johnathan Greenard and his injury with the pec strain and what that could potentially mean for the rest of the defense going forward. What's up, everybody? This is your host, Asif Badi of the Riding the Bad Eagles podcast. Listen, if you like what you're hearing thus far in this video, do me a favor here. Shoot this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave a 5-star review, because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing to go ahead and do those things for a brother and another human being. So I appreciate your support on the opposite side of the camera. And without further ado, let's get on with the show. All right, listen, so the offseason here on the defensive side of the ball, again, everyone's expecting a really, really good output from this defense, and I don't blame you. I think the defense is going to be really, really good. I think people have an expectation that this is going to be like a top 3, top 5 type of defense. Again, I don't know if it's going to be a top 5 defense. We have a tough schedule and we have a first place schedule, so you're going to go up against really good teams. But there is an expectation that this defense is going to be elite because it has the talent to do so and has the coaching staff to do so. And listen, they brought in players on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they just re-signed Jalen Carter, so everyone's excited about that. Jordan Davis got a big extension. I mean, you have Jahad Campbell, who was an upgrade from the Kobe Dean last season. You got Tariq Woolen, who since the spring has looked excellent from here since his arrival essentially in Philadelphia. Obviously, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon, Zach. I mean, the guys here on this defense, this is their third year for the most part, at least the majority of them, at least the core of the defense. It's their third year in this system, so they know what Vic Fangio is looking for, what everyone in this defensive coaching staff is looking for, and they know what the tone and what the pace is of practice going forward for these guys. So this is them not necessarily learning something new. This is for them, hey, we're picking up where we left off. Now, there's some players here, like I mentioned, Tariq Woolen's a guy that wasn't here last year, but also Johnathan Greenard was a guy that was not here last season. And listen, he just suffered a pec strain due to weightlifting in the offseason, and he's probably going to miss a good chunk of training camp, right? Now, according to Howie Roseman, it's not a serious injury, so it's nothing to be too alarmed about or too concerned about. But the fact that he got an injury and we haven't even played a freaking snap of NFL football, to me, does give you a little bit of a... Got to keep my eye on that because, quite frankly, Johnathan Greenard, as talented of a player as he is, has had really, really tough injury history, okay? And he's a quality player. We signed him for a 4-year, $100 million contract, and we haven't played a snap, and he's already on the PUP list, okay? Now, listen, because you're a veteran, because you have NFL experience, sometimes training camp is not necessarily something that you have to really worry about for veteran guys. Been there, done that. He's been in the league for some time now. This is not a concern in the sense of, wow, he's missing valuable reps with this defense. He's not going to know what to do. Johnathan Greenard's a freaking grown-up. He's been at this for a while. He's played on great defenses before. He's going to pick this up, okay? It's not necessarily something that I'm worried about in that sense. What I am worried about, though, is the fact that he's already missing time. And pec strains, any muscle strains, while it only takes a few weeks for them to heal, and if you do it right, it doesn't necessarily linger for too long. But when you strain something once, you're very likely to strain it again. And last season, he had some shoulder issues, which led to him being departed from Minnesota because they didn't want to pay him $30 million and ultimately being traded here. So listen, we're going to look at some of the career stats of Johnathan Greenard because I think his injury history could lead to other things for the defensive side of the ball here, okay? So let's pull up some of these Johnathan Greenard career stats. We're going to go about it year by year here. And we're going to start from the bottom up because that's how this template and that's how this graphic is designed. So in 2020, he played 13 games, only started in 1. And for the whole season, he had 19 combined tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss, did not qualify for pass rush win rate percentage, and it didn't qualify for him for the first 2 to 3 years of his career, okay? From 2020 to 2022, he did not qualify for pass rush win rate, which is something that we're going to talk about in a second because I think Howie Roseman really values that stat. 2021, 12 games started, 12 games played, 33 combined tackles, 8 sacks, a pretty good year, 9 tackles for loss. 2022, he played 8 games, 4 games started, 16 tackles, 4.5 sacks. Again, that's pretty good, a sack a game, 6 tackles for loss, no pass rush win rate. And then 2023 is when he arrived. And let me tell you, saying pass rush win rate, try to say that 10 times fast, okay? I digress. Anyways, 2023, this is the season of arrival. 15 games played, 15 games started, 52 combined tackles, 12.5 sacks, a career high, 15 tackles for loss, a pass rush win rate of 22%, which at the time ranked at 6th in the NFL amongst edge rushers. 2024, he had 17 games played, 59 combined tackles, 12 sacks, 18 tackles for loss, a pass rush win rate of 23%, which ranked 3rd in the NFL. As you can see, this is a stat that Howie Roseman really values. In 2025, he started 10 games, played in 12, 38 combined tackles, 3 sacks, a little bit of a down year, 10 tackles for loss, pass rush win rate of 23.3%, and the qualifier for that is that if he was qualified for the snap count minimum that season, he did not qualify for the snap count minimum, but if he did, that would have been 4th in the NFL. And that was also the 2025 season was also the year that Johnathan Greenard had a shoulder injury, which kind of impeded a lot of his production that year in Minnesota. So again, the ups and downs. The first 2 to 3 years of his career, he wasn't necessarily on the field, but you saw not playing all 17 games, has an injury history. The shoulder is something to be concerned with because now you're seeing a pec strain, which probably from compensatory motions and stuff like that. That's just the medical guy in me. But again, the point being is when you got a strain, you got to rest it and have proper rehab for the first couple of weeks here. It's about 2 to 3 weeks of rest and proper rehab and just like getting the muscle to relax a little bit. Now, again, he didn't suffer the injury from a football play or a football thing. He was weightlifting He had the strain. He's probably trying to prove himself and just push a little bit too hard, and thus the strain occurred. All right, so I'm not necessarily worried about the fact that he got the strain. I am concerned that the injury history is there, and we just paid him $100 million to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Now, again, I love the character of the guy. I think he's a good player. The pass rush win rate is something that Howie obviously values, because being at 23.3% basically just means that you're able to get to the quarterback at a really high clip. Think of it this way. Every 5 times you rush the quarterback, you're getting in the vicinity of the quarterback 1 out of every 5 times. That's a really high rate in the NFL. I know the 23% looks like it's a low number, but that's a high number for a defensive lineman. What the problem is with that is that he's not able to get home, and that's probably due to this shoulder injury, okay? So he's getting off the line well, he's able to bull rush, and is able to get past the offensive lineman. The problem is he's not been able to finish outside of the first couple of years he was starting in the NFL. Now, as I mentioned before, this doesn't necessarily mean he's going to miss time in the beginning of the year, but what it could potentially mean is that there could be a chance where he does miss time due to injury. And what does that mean for the rest of the guys on the defense? Well, I'll tell you what it means. He missed time in training camp, and it got Jalynx Hunt and Nolan Smith more reps at getting after the quarterback and getting defensive drills. And according to reports, according to everybody there, the star of the day was Jalynx Hunt. Jalynx Hunt, the third-year player, hybrid player, who, I mean, let me tell you guys, this guy is the exact type of Vic Fangio player. He is perfect for what he wants a linebacker, an edge rusher to do. Being able to get after the quarterback at a high clip and be able to drop back in coverage if need be. Keep this in mind. Jalynx Hunt in the 2024 season, just this last season, the 2025 season, I should say, rather. Just this past season, he led the team not only in sacks, but in interceptions. That is a phenomenal stat for a guy who is being rotated in the defense. Again, really good player, really young player, and is going to be a part of this defense's core for years to come. I mean, the dynamics of this defense with the players that you got, it's something special. And that's why there's such high expectations for this defense for this upcoming year. And the belief is that if everyone's healthy, you're going to get a great output of production and high-level defensive prowess with Cooper, with Q, Zach Bond, Jahad Campbell, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and now Jalynx Hunt on one side, and what was supposed to be Johnathan Greenard on the other, with the rotation of Nolan Smith and other guys. That's a really good defense. Plus you have Derek Woolen on the outside there. Plus you have I believe the man's name is Johnathan Jones in the slot here. Again, it's a good group of players, a great group of players. Howie has outdone himself in terms of drafting players and having them be the core and the bedrock of this unit. And I say all that to say this, that the fact that Johnathan Greenard already is not seeing some field time due to injury could potentially mess with the feng shui of the defense. Now, I'm not saying he's such a key piece that it's going to make the defense blunder or fold to a lesser form of themselves to the point where they're not a top 10 defense. What I'm saying is that he's a very important cog, and he's a very important cog, and I know this because they paid him $100 million. You got to get and be on the field. You can't miss time due to silly injuries. Now, I'm not going to say the pec strain's silly. That's probably a poor phrasing of words, but you get my point. The expectation is that you get out there and you're on the field. You gotta be there. And the fact that he had a shoulder injury last season, now is followed by a pec strain. You have to wonder, hey, what else could potentially happen to this guy going forward? Is he going to hold up? And that's the biggest question with this Johnathan Greenard signing. Can he hold up? Because if he holds up, this defense has the potential to be really special this year. They're more athletic. They have more youth. They have more size. I mean, it is a really talented defense on paper. And from what the reports have been saying since the start of the spring, this defense has been playing at a high level. I am excited for what this defense can do, but I'm really, really concerned if Johnathan Greenard can stay healthy, because while it means more reps for Nolan Smith and Jalynx Hunt, it does mess with the flow. It does mess with the plan. It does mess with the feng shui of the rest of the defense. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below in regards to this defense and the vibes around this Philadelphia Eagles football team for the 2026 NFL season. It is high, but I want to hear from the fans themselves. With that, everybody, there's going to be more training camp coverage as the season goes on or as the weeks go by here. I'm not going to be able to cover every single day, but I will do my very, very best to give you my takeaways as they come up. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast, and we will see you back here next time, everybody. Godspeed. Hey, thank you so much for getting through this episode of the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want more content just like this, hit the subscribe button below to lock in with me. Thank you so much for your support on the opposite side of the camera, and check us out on other platforms in the description box below. And we'll see you back here next time for the next episode of the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast.